This video for all my ladies. Ladies, this video for you, y'all. Yeah, this video would not be possible without her. So tell me Instagram.
pyt.asia6.
Y'all heard it here first. She's the next YouTube sensation. Jada Way, this video for you, y'all. Man, y'all don't know what went into this video, man. I recorded it. I'm having camera issues, and shout out to Asia for making this better, because she updated my camera quality, got the audio picked up. But yeah, shout out to her, because this ain't possible without her. And that's what this video about. Things not being possible without women, right? I was reading this story in the Bible, right? And I don't know if I never, like, I was reading this story in the Bible and I never heard it. And I never heard nobody talk about the story in the Bible. And I'm like, how we don't talk about this? Like, how y'all miss this part, right? This story in the Bible was about this, you know, God's own chosen people, his nation, right? God's people. His nation of people, you know, the Israelites was not, you know, did evil in his eyes again, turned their back on God again, like they always did. And, you know, every time they did that, you know, not every time, but a lot of times they did that, God had turned his back on them, and all the destruction and chaos had happened in their land. So this time he turned his back on them. When they turned their back on God, God turned them over to this other nation, the king of another land of people. God said, you know what? You turn your back on me for me, I'm gonna let this group of more powerful people than you come get at you. Like, you gonna be under their command now. You're not even free no more. You under them, right? And like I said, they was, you know, going through a chaos and destruction. And there was a woman, right? Let me get this woman's name. I gotta find this woman's name. She was her name was Deborah. Yeah, her name was Deborah. And Deborah was a powerful woman. Deborah was a prophet. Deborah heard exactly from God. And this woman, God had placed this woman not in charge of her people, but these men, this nation of people would come to Deborah because she heard exactly from God, right? So if any of them needed judgment, right, they would come to her to get their judgment because she heard from God. So if anybody needed judgment from God, right, they needed to hear from God, or anything that if they might have did something wrong or whatever like that, or they needed to hear from God, right, this woman, God would speak to this woman, and then she would relay the message. So this woman was very important, very valuable. And so this woman had a high rank in this nation. Like, everybody would come to her. Like, she was a top dog around there, and God had placed her there, right? And the men came to her and was just like, yeah, like, what's up? Like, we doing rough out here. Like, God, we need some shake. Like, it's too much destruction and chaos going on around here. And God basically, and Deborah told them, God spoke to Deborah and was like, yeah, go take over them people. Like, go to war against the people that you under. Go to war against them, and yeah, like, you're gonna have victory. And the men were terrified. They're like, look, these people way more powerful than us. Like, we can't go to war against them. And the men were like, look, I know God said we need to go to war against them, but I'm not going to war against them unless you come with us, Deborah. And Deborah was like, okay, if I go with you, look, y'all dudes not getting the credit for this, fellas. You're not getting the credit for this. Like, I'm gonna get the credit for this because I'm the one that went with you. And sure enough, they got victory, and they beat them more powerful nation, right? And I thought that was so good. I'm like, man, why don't we talk about that enough? Why don't we talk about how God had placed this, how important Deborah was? Why Deborah not talked about enough, right? We talk about Ruth and Esther and all these other great women in the Bible, Mary. They were great, right? They was, you know, right? But why don't we talk about how big Deborah was? Deborah led God's people led them to victory, right? Like, this woman was so powerful, right, that she basically, like, she heard from God, right? She was a wise woman, right? A lot of times in society, people look at men for, like, as wise people. Like, only men could be wise, only men could be smart, only men could be intelligent. But nah, that's not the case, because, like I said, a nation of men went to Deborah for advice, right? So much so that this was Deborah's job. This was Deborah's job to give advice, because she heard from God exactly, right? And I'm like, wow, Deborah's wisdom, Deborah's insight, right? Deborah's insight, her being there, Deborah's presence led them from, it was God's presence, right? But without Deborah, like, this ain't happening. These men needed Deborah, right? Deborah was where these men leader, right? And like I said, she was she heard exactly from God. She was a wise woman because she heard from God, right? And I wanted to tell you, like, woman, like, you know, God's the same God as he was then as he is now, right? And just how Deborah was wise, you know, you're very much wise as well, right? Like, you very much are wise. Like, if anybody tells you, like, you know, like, that you, like, if to not hear your advice and not hear your insight because you're a woman, they're a fool, right? Wisdom and gender, like, that has nothing, gender has nothing to do with wisdom, right? Wisdom comes from hearing from God. That's basically, truly comes from knowing God. Wisdom comes from God, right? And this woman was so important because she heard directly from God, right? That's what wisdom comes from, being able to hear from God and apply that in your life, right? This woman heard from God, and these men applied what she heard and to their lives, and it came in victory. That's where we get our wisdom from. Anybody who might have even told little old me I'm wise, really I'm not that wise. I'm really just relaying what I heard from God, truthfully. That had nothing to do with my gender or nothing like that, right? So in that same way, woman, you are very much just as capable as me or any other man out here. Very much capable to that same wisdom, that same insight, that's to that same leadership that this woman had, right? Because this woman heard exactly from God. And how do we hear from God? We hear from God through praying, right? We hear from God through our praying, and we gain wisdom from getting to know him better and hearing from God. I want to encourage all you women out there, men as well, but all you women out there, if you want to gain wisdom, get to know God. Develop a prayer relationship with God to acquire that wisdom, right? Because your wisdom is needed, right? Your voice is needed. Deborah's insight was needed, right? Like, these men couldn't have done it without Deborah, right? The girl who was in that intro, I couldn't have made this video without her. Like, she was very much so valuable into what I was trying to do. Without her, I couldn't have got this video off. So, woman, I wanted to tell you, like, you are so important. You are so valuable. You are so needed to society. Like, us men can't do it without you, right? Like, we can't go far without you. When God created man, when he created Adam, he said, look, it's not good for man to be alone. So he created woman from his rib, right? He created woman from his rib, which indicates his side, right? He didn't create woman from his knee, right? From his foot. No, because that would have indicated that would have symbolized that woman was under man. No, he created woman from his rib, which is his side, meaning that woman and men are equal. Men are no greater than men. Men are no greater than women. So whatever that stereotype, that crazy ideology that women aren't capable, that is crazy, right? And this is the last thing, I'm gonna wrap it up. God placed this woman in a high position. Like, this woman had high rank over all these people. Like, she had a position of power, authority, and leadership. Woman, you can have that same position, right? I know a lot of times in society, and it's messed up, women have to work twice as hard for these jobs, to be much more qualified for these positions, manager, boss, CEO, president positions, right? Because men, may not feel like you're worthy enough, or may not feel like you're capable. I want to let you guys know this. That's ridiculous. You are very much more so capable because God created you to be capable. God said that you are more than enough, right? And your wisdom that you get from God, and that's why I want to encourage you to develop that prayer life so you could get wisdom from God. Once you get that, men are going to see that, and men are going to realize your value and your need, right? Because your value and your need is very important. And when men see that, right, because we need it, us men in the society, we need to see that. When men see that, right, they're going to recognize your value, right? Because, they're gonna recognize your value because and God just gave me this. You are already valuable. You don't need a man to tell you that you're valuable, that you are important. You know, with or without man, you are already invaluable. You are already wise. You are already important, right? You are more than enough. God created you to be enough, right? That's so. Don't forget what men think. Men are stupid, right? I'm not saying that you're stupid, but a man's opinion or how a man views you has nothing to do with it. Basically what I'm saying is, however God created you to be, that's how you are. God said you're beautiful. God said you're smart. God said you're wise. God said you are more than enough. So it doesn't matter what a man thinks. What does it matter what a man thinks if God says I'm more than enough, right? Because I don't get my value, my worth from man. No, I get my value and my worth from the one who created me, and he said I am more than enough. So it doesn't matter what you think, right? So I can wake up every morning, I can affirm myself. Woman, you can affirm yourself and you can tell yourself, look, I'm more than enough. God said I'm more than enough. God said I'm beautiful. God said I'm created in his likeness. God said he loves me. God says I'm important. God says I'm special in his eyes, right? So with that being said, it doesn't matter what a man says about you. It doesn't matter what a man thinks. It doesn't matter how a man treats you, right? Because you are more than enough. And you could tell yourself that every day because God's word says that. And that's the only thing that's truth. And anything that goes against that, God's truth, isn't true, isn't fact. That's not concrete. God's word is concrete, and that's here forever. And God's word says you are a woman, that you are more than enough. So I want you to accept that, live in that, show that, and show the world that you are more than enough, with or without a man. So I hope that helps. I pray this audio.